Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep In Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. Along with REM, Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. Learn more about our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of my book, The Ultimate Marketing Bundle, as well as learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 253. Well, it's just you and me again, and I'm starting to really like these solo episodes. I mean, not to say that I don't like having my guests on the show. In fact, we've had some incredible guests on the show. We always get incredible guests on the show. Some of which you're going to know, some of which you don't know, but everybody always has some amazing value to add. And we're just super grateful. I mean, if we look back on the past couple of weeks, we had Emma Kearns was on the show and we talked all about what the real estate market is looking like and what cottage country is going to tell us about that. And I believe that, and I don't know if you listened to that episode. I hope you listened to that episode, but I believe that cottage country is telling us a lot about what's going on with the real estate market, and not just in cottage country, but even surrounding areas in the bigger cities. We saw a big exodus of people leave, a few years back when that other thing was going on. But then we also saw a lot of people now who, they went out to cottage country. They bought these vacation properties. They bought these places that are further out from the city. And a lot of people are being called back in to have to get back into the office, back into work. So there's a lot of people actually moving out of there. I also believe that based on current market trends, we're going to see a lot of people that just can't afford to have that secondary property, or maybe, financially the monthly payments just on something are just it's too much with the rising interest rates and inflation overall. There's a lot of factors out there impacting, what is happening to people's financial situations. And this is something that we all got to take account of. If I look around at the circles that I run in these days, right now, there are a lot of conversations happening about finances. And that's not a conversation that you usually have with friends of yours. You don't normally talk about what's going on or how expensive things are. But it's a real factor right now. And I'm sure as you listen to this, you probably think to yourself, I too have been having more of those conversations. And so again, this is a telltale sign of what does the future hold for us. And so Emma was really able to come in and give us some insights and sort of shape the landscape of what that looks like. So again, if you didn't tune into episode 251, make sure you go back and tune into that one. And then of course, this last week, we had Katrina Wasiluk with the Wasiluk twins of the AW4U real estate team out of Windsor, Ontario. And Katrina's been in the industry for about 5 years now. We talked all about marketing and how to, create a resilient real estate business and how to market your business for success. And, for me, the angle on that conversation for you was to be able to get insights from somebody else who's in the game. Insights from somebody who just kind of started in the game as opposed to who's been in it for, 15, 20, 25 years. Building new habits and finding new ways to do things. And obviously coming from a generation of people that are just starting their journey through home ownership. And that's a lot of the clientele that she'll deal with. And there's a lot of professionals she deals with as well. But looking at her generation and understanding what drives her and where's the mindset around what needs to be done. And what I found very unique about the conversation was there's a lot of folks that believe that their clients don't want to talk to them, that everybody wants everything done by social media or by text message, or nobody wants to get on the phone. And here we are having somebody who is part of that generation, is part of that group of people, is that age, who came in and talked to us about marketing and about what the importance is of growing a real estate business and having success. And whether you're in, the real estate industry, or maybe you have a small business, or maybe you have your own business, whatever it be, big, small, you're somebody who runs a business. You're somebody who's out there every single day working to figure out, how do I build a better mousetrap? How do I find more people, get more people into my database, work that group so that I'm getting more opportunities? And I mean, look, selfishly, personally. I loved a lot of what she had to say because she used the word MindShare a whole bunch of times. But let's be real though, right? When we think about our audience and we think about the people that, we do most of our business with, typically speaking, it's with people that know us, and whether they like us and trust us, that's a whole different story. But they know who we are. We're not a complete stranger. And there's the paradigm shift, is that usually speaking, all of us think to ourselves, I meet somebody new, I want them to buy from me, with me, whatever, sell with me. I want them to do something immediately. It's just not the case, right? It's just not the way it works. It always takes time. And we're looking for immediate return. And straight up, when you think about smartphones and you think about technology and you think about the access to information, we've been trained these days to expect immediate return. Expect that person that we message on the other end to respond immediately. Expect the information that we typed into, the question we typed into, Google, to come back to us immediately. We expect everything very, very quickly. And, thinking in that one, now we look and say, well, what does that do to shape what I'm expecting when it comes to, meeting new people and being able to get new opportunities? Well, for some reason, everybody's got this expectation that it should just happen overnight. But it doesn't. And speaking with Katrina on episode 252, and I want to encourage that you go back and listen to that one as well. We talked about a lot of different marketing tactics that work, and she shared with us what is the most impactful marketing strategy she has and how she's been able to grow her real estate business into a very successful career that is going to last for a long time to come. So again, I encourage you, go back and listen to both those episodes. Really listen to what both our guests have to share about the industry, about having success in the industry. There were some commonalities between both conversations. And let me tell you, both these people don't know each other. They both come from two different ends of the province. Yeah, there were some commonalities there. And again, when we look back on a lot of these episodes that we do and, bringing guests in, that's one of the big things I want you to pick up on as you're a regular listener with the MindShare podcast is listen to each person's story. Listen to what each person is doing to grow their business, to have success, where the struggles are, what they figured out that does or doesn't work. Listen to those. Because everybody's got a different story. Yet there's similar undertones with everybody. And this is a bigger reason why I continue to tell everybody, and I I push myself to do this, but, feed your brain. Constantly learn. And hey, again, massive props to you. You listen to this podcast right now, you are learning. This is part of feeding your brain. Because you're getting insights from somebody else. Doesn't mean you have to love everything they say. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. You don't necessarily need to disagree with everything they say or not like what they say. But taking it in, being able to really break it down and go, what were the similar undertones from those different stories I've heard? What was somebody's opinion based on versus somebody's opinion based on someone else? This is again this is a big reason why the podcast is here, right? I want to help you break that down. So anyhow, an encouragement, go back and listen to both those episodes. There was a lot of great stuff shared by both Emma and Katrina. And of course, if you ever got questions about anything, always, always, always reach out to me. I love having these conversations. And I love the feedback we get about this show. I really, really do. I get a lot of people that reach out and just send a quick message. Hey, love the podcast, or, listen to that episode. It was amazing. These are all things that anyhow, it's all good stuff. It's all really, really good stuff. All right. So now moving on to that, and sort of picking off of that, but saying that, when we talk about market trends, right, in the current market that's out there right now, I mean, listen, it's an ongoing battle right now. It really is. It's real, right? As I've already mentioned about the inflation, the interest rates, and everything else, and the price of things going up, and people having affordability issues. I see a lot of opportunity, and I know for some people sitting back going, "Whoa, how is it that you see opportunity? Things are just slow." Now, let me clarify that. I've got clients of mine that when I do ask them how are things out there, they actually tell me things are very good. They're busy. In fact, I just had a set of clients that I coach personally who were on the call the other day and we're talking about the slowness of the market. And they kind of corrected me. They're like, no, Dave, we're pretty busy right now. Things are actually really good right now. In fact, we were just at a golf tournament with our entire office and people were coming up to us saying, this is you guys look really busy. You guys look like you're doing a great job. Whereas a lot of other people, and my clients shared this with me, but a lot of other people struggling. And I mean, people who've been in the business a long time are struggling. And part of our conversation the other day on that coaching call was, well, why are those people struggling and why are you not struggling? And I mean, hey, if I boil it down, I could say, because, you're coaching with me and they're not. I mean, I'm pretty serious about that, but, for those of you that coach with me, you get it. For those of you that don't, well, I don't know what you're waiting for. But no, seriously, if you want to inquire about it, get in touch with us for sure. But, moreover, there are people that are doing well out there right now. There are people that are not struggling out there, but there is a much bigger group of people that are having a tough time. And, at one point over the past few years, we knew that listings were the gold. Like if you could land a listing, you knew that you were going to have buyers flocking to that listing. You knew that the price was going to be high. You knew that people were going to pay over asking. You knew things were going to be good for both, your seller, for you. I'd argue not so much for the buyer. And that's part of, where the opportunity lies as we move ahead, right? But as we speak of buyers, I believe we've moved into a buyer's market. I believe that now less people are listing their homes. And because less people are listing their homes, we've got buyers out there and there's going to be that supply and demand issue. But we also know that buyers hold the power because, well, if they can get the money, they can actually buy. But right now, there's not a lot of people that can get the money, which poses a lot of issues, again, to the pace of the market and to the opportunities that people are having out there. So, look, I don't want to sit back and say, don't go chase listings and don't go get a listing and don't try to secure those listings. I think listings are always a good thing. I mean, more signs that you have on people's lawns, the more mindshare you're building within the community and of its own. And then there's a complete marketing strategy, support system we can put around all of that to try to even pick up more listings. That said, again, as much as listings are the gold, I do believe that having buyers right now that actually have the means to be able to purchase, well, that is also gold at this moment. So let's not discount either or. Let's also look at the market itself and say to ourselves that, yes, things might be down, things might be slow, things might be difficult right now. But let's remember, what goes up must come down. Well, what goes down must go up. And this is where opportunity lies. And this is part of the foresight of having a positive mindset and a positive outlook on what's going on next. See, in this moment, there's a lot of people that are going to look at the glass as half empty. This is your moment to look at the glass as half full, right? Even more than half full. I mean, start to look to the future right now. And I'm talking like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, the next 5 years. There's going to be a lot of people needing to get out of their properties. There's going to be a lot of people in hard times of making payments. Interest rates are not going to be coming down so quickly. So it's adjusting what people's cash flow looks like, which means, again, there's going to be people that look and say, I've got to get out. I've got to make a move. I've got to downsize. I've got to upsize. I mean, hey, if you got the opportunity, wonderful. I got to change what my monthly payments are, which again means that there's going to be properties that come to market that need to be transacted, which again says there's a lot of opportunity. Anytime things get tough out there, start looking for the opportunity. Instead of burying your head in the corner and saying, oh my God, there's nothing to do, or it's slow or whatnot, really look for that opportunity because that's where people make their money. Think about investors. Think about people, over the course of history, be it the stock market, be it, the real estate market, be it any type of investment. If you can withstand a tough market, you position yourself now, you build the mind share now that when people are ready to go, you have built such a strong foundation that you're set up to really reap the rewards of that. Now, with the tough market, a lot of people are looking for answers. And these answers are, what can I do to change what's going on out there right now? What can I do to have success? What more can I do to get deals done? And that's a big common question. I mean, hey, tough market, a good market. I'm sure everybody's got that question, especially, again, if you're a driven individual. You've got to want to have that, right? But as we look at that now, we say, well, we start to, I think we start to overthink the process. I think we start to look for answers that may not be there. I think we start to wonder, and I get this from people as I speak with them, what do they not know that somebody else knows? What are they not doing that everybody else is doing? And I truly believe that, if you are educated on what's going on with the market, So you're paying attention to the listing feeds, and you're paying attention to, the economy, and you're paying attention to really what are some of the outside factors that drive our market, and then what's going on within the market. If you're educating yourself, then you're winning. Once you've got the education, it's, well, what am I doing with my time? Am I putting in the right places? Am I putting the effort to get the results that I want? Meaning, are you doing those different activities you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis to have that success? Well, if you couple the education with the work ethic, you should be having success. And if you sit there right now and say, Dave, but I'm not, and I believe I'm doing all the right things. Well, look, if you believe you're doing the right things, I'll tell you right now that is half the battle. I would say to you again, if we're not, working together, and this is not a sales pitch, and I mean, it totally is a sales pitch, but it's not meant to be a sales pitch. It wasn't scripted into this. But if you think you're doing the right things, you're not having success, then that's where you need to look to a mentor. You need to look to a coach, me. You need to look to somebody for some assistance, somebody you could talk to just to figure out, like, is this right? Am I doing it right? Because look, we all struggle with that same thought. We get up, we do, we work, we try, and then we don't have the success we want. But then that also leads to, again, people wasting a lot of time. People looking in the wrong places, people doing the wrong things, people spending money on stuff that they shouldn't be spending money on. So in comes the question, with all this sort of setup here today, how do we make sure that we're not wasting time right now and ensure that we're having the success or setting ourselves up to have the success that we ultimately want? And that's what I want to answer here today, okay? Because I want to give you 3 tips right now to ensure that you're not wasting time. Okay, and I don't know if tips was the right word. I don't know. I titled it tips, but so I'm drinking a nice, beautiful, hot cup of coffee right now. In fact, I use this mug called an Ember mug. It works with an app. And I know I'm doing a total pitch for Ember right now, but I got to tell you, these people are phenomenal. I had an issue with my previous mug, and the battery died and whatever. Anyways, customer service was fantastic. The product is incredible. Ember, EMBER. No, they did not pay me to do this, sponsor me to do this. I just love the mug. My coffee will stay hot for like 3 hours or 2 hours or something. I'm at the perfect temperature. Anyways, I'm enjoying my cup of coffee. So, okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. How do we not waste time, but ensure that we're not wasting money, we're not wasting time, but we're making the most of everything? Okay. So again, 3 tips to ensure that you're not wasting time right now. And these are the things I want you to pay attention to at this moment. Okay. And I'm going to give you an action step for each one of them too. But the first one here, well, let me start off by telling you a quick story here. Was talking to a client of mine the other day who, in his conference season out there, and all the big brands are doing their conferences at different parts of the country, and people are going away and doing the rah, and it's awesome. You get to see people you haven't seen in a long time, you get to make new connections, etc. Great. Build a ton of mind share. Well, I asked one of my clients, I said, what was your biggest takeaway from the conference? Like, what was your biggest learning? And the response was, like AI. And I said, what was taught about AI? And it really boiled down to being able to come up with a content strategy for social media, leveraging AI. Now, you want to get into a marketing conversation with me, and you want to get into like what it takes to bring things to life. We're going to get serious about that conversation. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. Right? It was important to get serious about this conversation and really figure out, what did you learn about AI? What did you pick up about that? And again, to not give you every single detail, and I was in the room learning about it, but I got the feedback through my client here. And the whole thing came back to is that this AI, it's a service that you can spend money on, and it'll help generate, descriptions and captions for all of your content. So again, I started poking. I'm like, cool. I said, well, who's coming up with the idea? And the response was, well, AI. I said, interesting. I said, so where does the graphic come from? Well, I've got to provide that. And I got to kind of tell them what it is. I said, so you're actually going to give them the picture, and then you're gonna tell them what it's about, and then it's just going to generate like words for you that kind of fit. Yeah, exactly. Interesting. So we're doing most of the work, but we're given the AI bot, whatever we want to call it, this AI. We're giving it the information. It's just going to make it a little bit prettier, a little bit nicer. Yeah. I said, okay, and there's a cost for this. Yeah. I said, well, it sounds like the cost of time and money. Yeah. So why don't we put our own strategy together? Well, I don't normally know what to say. And I maybe don't say it properly, or I can't get creative enough, or I don't have enough time. And this is where, again, I boil down and I say, well, hold on a second then. And as a coaching client, we take you right through the whole process of creating a social media content calendar. Okay. What does the content calendar look like? What's the content that's going to be there? We lay out a process that you can act with purpose on social media. So, listen, I'll tell you, that's the way the call went. We ended up creating an entire strategy where my client realized that this AI, this extra service, was not actually the solution to what they were looking for. It was not actually the solution from a cost or a time perspective. In fact, it really just took a little bit of creative muscles and some good, I guess, coaching or structure or conversation together to put together a plan that actually makes sense. And that's what we did. And then at the end of it all, what did we realize? Hey, you can still tap into the AI if you need to, just for a little bit of assistance, but the AI isn't going to do what we just created. It's not going to know all these little micro things about you. It's not going to know what you like. You're going to have to feed it the information so that it can create something for you, which again, to me, when I look at that, it all takes time and, again, money. So look, the first tip here is stay away from the bright, shiny object syndrome. Okay? We get caught up. Like, this takes me back to chatbots when I was at a conference a number of years ago in San Francisco, and I heard somebody talking about chatbots for the first time, and I was like, what's the deal with the chatbot? And, I ended up learning that this is like this automated bot that'll respond to direct messages. Thought interesting. I said, but aren't we in a people business? Aren't we in a people business? Like, why would I want to talk to a bot? Oh, it saves time, it makes things efficient. Yeah, but for who? For me, the salesperson? Like, what about the person on the other end? I don't think they want to talk to a robot. They want to talk to a real person. They want real answers. They want a concrete, relationship. Somebody they can know, like, and trust. You can't do that with a bot. Yet here was everybody sitting in this room, watching the person on the stage, talking about bots, and everybody's, I got to go get a bot. This is what I call the sheeple syndrome. Bah. Stop following. You got to be a leader. You want to win, you got to lead. You got to think. Don't just follow because everybody's doing that. It's like when you're walking through a sports stadium or a mall, and there's like this whole massive bank of 20 doors, yet there's one door that everybody's walking through, and everybody funnels through that one door. What about the other 19 doors standing there? Go through one of those. No, human nature is just to follow. So again, when I sat here and I thought to myself, okay, chatbots, this was a number of years ago. Then I think to myself about this AI stuff, and I'm not saying don't use AI. We've done a few shows about AI, and I believe that there's some very cool stuff that can be done with it. Yet, you got to fully understand how to integrate. You got to understand what you're trying to solve. And then you got to know how to really implement and do it in the most, time efficient and cost efficient way. And I think that there's still a lot to be learned about that. So as we think to ourselves, again, tip number one here is stay away from shiny object syndrome. When I give you an action step, I'd say to you, the first thing I want you to do, anytime you're struggling with anything, anytime you get that, you see that new bright shiny object, you hear about that thing that everybody says, oh, this is going to be great, you got to use it, you got to do it. The first thing I want you to do, the first thing you should want to do, before you spend any money, any time, pardon me, we're going to invest a tiny little bit of time right now because we're actually going to think with our brains. We're actually going to figure out whether it makes sense or not. We're not just going to follow like sheep. So, and you can write this down. Ask yourself, what is my problem? Then, what do I really need to do to solve it? Make sense? Identify the problem. Then start to actually think hard, what can I do to solve it? And you might come back and in this exact example, turn around and go, you know what? I need to implement AI. Okay, so we figured out the solution. But there's got to be other solutions. And in fact, the story I just told you about creating a content counter in social media, well, there it is, right? AI was one solution. Then doing it myself is another solution. And so what we're doing here is we're really trying to figure out what's the problem and what are the possible solutions, and just write them down. There could be solutions on that piece of paper or whatever you typed out. It's got to come out of your head. You can't just think about them because then they don't come to life. You got to be able to see them. Then you got to be able to cross some of them off and go, nope, that one won't work. Oh, I will never do that. Oh, I have no idea how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to start with that one. Oh, this one looks really good. Oh, I like this one. Give yourself a menu of options. Could be 2 options, 3 options, 10 options. Figure out what those solutions are. So again, what's my problem? And what do I really need to do to solve it? See, once we figure that out, now, and by the way, always ask yourself whether or not you're creating a make-work project. If I take that thing on, this other thing, whatever it is, how much more work is it actually gonna make for me? Like, how much more work, and is this really going to solve the problem in the most time-efficient way that I need it? Or, again, just cost me money, right? Or, what if I put in the effort to create a solution? So instead of just spending the money to come up with a solution, what if I put in the effort to come up with a solution? So again, when we look at how are we going to solve the issue and what the issue is, and we look at any bright, shiny object that comes down the road, that's all of a sudden this magical answer to solving whatever problem you're having, public service announcement. There ain't no magic pill. There is no secret answer. The bottom line is blunt, hard work. Effort. That is what produces results. That's what we got to be focused on, okay? Now, once you identify, okay, this is the next stage in it, right? Because again, the first thing we had to do when it comes to bright, shiny object syndrome, because we're looking for an answer right now, we're struggling with something, somebody just came up and dangled this bright, shiny object. Oh, there it is. Again, what am I trying to solve? Or what problem do I have? What do I really need to do to solve it? And then once I figure out what that thing is that I need to do, hey, you still got work to do. So now it's about creating what we call a work back schedule. Right? Identify. And what's a work back schedule? Basically what it does is it gives us the step by step that we need to do, to execute on, to bring whatever it is that we need to life. Okay? So for example, if I said, and we'll stick with this content calendar right now, if I said I got to create a content calendar, I'm going to give myself a hard date for when I want that content calendar done. So I'm going to look at my calendar. I'm going to find a date. And if you're saying, well, when? Well, that depends what works for you. That depends how soon you need it. But I'm going to create a hard date. I'm going to put it in the schedule. And then I'm going to look at the time frame I got between that date to where I am today. So I'm going to work backwards. And now I'm going to ask myself whether or not, or what needs to be done, what steps need to be done to get to what I need at that date to be ready to go, to be finished the project, whatever it be, right? And how many hours do I need to do that? Okay. So for example, again, maybe I've got to, first off, come up with my, what I call lifestyle list. So I'm going to schedule some time to do that. Maybe I need a 30 or 60-minute block to do that. I'm going to put that in the calendar. Then what I need to do is I need to break that lifestyle list from a macro to a micro. So maybe that's not going to happen in the same 30, 60-minute block because I got other things I got to do in my day. So I'm going to schedule another 30, 60-minute block to do that. Then I got to take all the content that I've just come up with, because now I'll have like easily 50 to 100 pieces of content, and I just got to lay them out on the calendar. Well, I'm going to need time to do that as well. Well, if I do all that, and I do that in an efficient time because I've created the schedule in my calendar, I'm not going to get it all done in a day, and I don't want to get it all done in a day. I have other things I need to do in a day, but when I schedule it, now I ensure I get it done. So the first tip here to making sure you're not wasting time is, again, to stay away from the bright, shiny object syndrome. Action step, determine what your problem is, or figure out what your problem is. Write it down. Then figure out what you really need to do to solve it. Write it down. Then create a work back schedule so that you can get it all done. Okay, now we got the second tip for how to make sure we're not wasting time. Okay, and again, this is all staying with current market, current state of the market right now, current state of the economy, whatever you want to call it. This is like for right this moment. The second tip here, stop running around with clients trying to make something happen. And that includes sellers with high expectations, okay? Buyers with expectations. Stop running around with clients just trying to make something happen. And I know you might be like, what? Like shouldn't I be putting in the effort and doing all the stuff you just said? Yes. But they're, again, we're talking about not wasting time right now. So think about this, okay? Because you probably guaranteed either have a seller on one end who's, wants way too much money for their house and you just know it's not going to move, which means it's going to be on market for a lot longer, which means you're not going to get as much activity, which means, now that the house is sitting on the market longer, you're not getting the activity. Oh my God, activity is going to be even lower because people think something's wrong with the property. Well, you get the whole thing. Or you got a buyer who actually doesn't have the money to buy. They tell you what they want. You go running around showing it to them. But when push comes to shove and it's time to actually get that deal done, they ain't even got the money to do it. So again, we want as many clients as we can have to some degree. We want to get the listings. We want to get the buyers. We want to be able to close deals. And again, in a market like this right now, it's really easy to sit back and say, yeah, I'm going to do that. Absolutely, I can help you. We got to have a deeper conversation around that. So again, the action step here now comes to, you got to qualify them. Now I know, you're sitting there like, Dave, really? Like, you don't think, Dave, that I know that already? No, straight up, I think you do know that. I think you should know that. But I also know, not even just think, I know that there's a lot of people right now, again, in a tough market that are going to take what they can get because, well, there ain't a lot to get. Well, again, if you do that, you could get stuck running around like a chicken with your head cut off and not really getting the results you're looking for. So when I say qualify them, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about having the conversation. So I was talking to a guy the other day, and he says to me, he's like, how do you say it? He goes, I don't know, one thing led to another, and he's like, yeah, hey, can you help me find a piece of land? I'm like, yeah, I could help you find a piece of land. He's like, yeah, we're thinking about, going up to such and such. We want a piece of land up there. I said, oh, all right. Now, there's the moment right there. I could have said, yeah, perfect. What's your email? Or if I have his email, go in and say, yeah, no problem. I'll set you up on like a drip and like, I'll get you all the pieces of land. But hell, there's a lot of land. Well, where does he want the land? How big does he want the land? What does he want to do with the land? How much money does he have to spend on the land? When does he want the land? See, these are all questions I need to ask, and I need to figure out the answers to before I go and set him up with any type of information. Because otherwise, bottom line, I could be wasting my time. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm sending him all this stuff. I'm doing all the follow-up. I'm having all these conversations. Maybe I'm even driving to places with him. Yet maybe I don't know if the area's right, or the money's right, or the opportunity. Maybe the zoning restrictions on the place. I don't know. What does he want to do? So again, a lot of this comes back to, it's not just figuring out how much money do you have, and yes, it's certainly one of the questions we need to ask. But when I talk about qualifying them, I'm talking about digging for their motivation. Determining the timelines. Why do you want to do this? Do you need to do this? Do you want to do this? When do you want to do this? See, once I have that conversation, I can fully exhaust her motive behind why they've even inquired with me or asked me this question or why they're thinking about it. Well, now I put myself in a much better opportunity to actually get a deal done and as well do it in the most time-efficient manner. But if I don't ask the questions, if I don't do the pre-screen, if I don't, have that convo, then I'm going to end up running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And again, this goes back to tip number one. Don't chase bright, shiny object syndrome, right? Because you never know what's the be all and end all of that whole thing. We just talked about that. But now take that over to this one and say, stop running around with clients trying to make something happen. And again, please understand where I'm going when I say that. Don't take my words out of context here about not trying to make something happen. I'm just saying, understand who you're working with and whether or not there's something that can actually happen based on like all the little criteria they've got. Ask the questions. Ask the open-ended questions. Have the conversation. The more conversing you do, the more you will find the deep down reason for that motivation of wanting to do something. Then you'll be able to establish timelines with them to understand, again, do they need to do this now? We're having a baby in 6 months and we have to be in a new place. We do not have the room to have a baby. Great. And as things are dragging on, you want to remind them, hey, yo, you still having that baby? Right? or kids moving away to university or whatever, and they got to be in. Everybody's got to move by like, the first semester or whatever it is, and whatever that timeline is, September, January, whatever. Again, hey, kids still going to university? You still got to make that move? Oh, yeah. Perfect. We got to go. Let's go. And again, hey, let's go back to the first tip there about not chasing bright, shiny object syndrome. And I sort of ended off by saying to you, one of the steps there is create a work back schedule. Well, it's a very similar process here. Again, stop running around with people trying to make something happen. Dig for the motivation, establish timelines, and then create a work back schedule. Now, one of these things as well becomes setting expectations, right? And I think that that's something that it seems like people might be missing out on right now. And I think in the normal course of whether the market's good, whether the market's bad, we want to always set those expectations. And what it does is it sets the tone for the relationship. It sets the tone for the journey, right? Because if I come to you and I say to you, and I mean, if you're listening to this and you're a coaching client, we did this together. And if you're not a coaching client, again, you should be. But we do this together as well, where I'm going to start the whole thing off by saying, hey, let's set some expectations now. Here's what you can expect from me. Here's what I'm going to deliver to you now that you've hired me as your coach. Here's what I expect from you as my client. We've established expectations. And here's what we can expect from the journey. And again, I break it down for you so that anything that's going on in your mind that you thought maybe this is the way it's going to be, or that's the way it's going to be, or maybe you had no idea how it's going to be, I want to make sure that we've got clear expectations on that. Because as we go down this journey, we're driving down this road together. There may be speed bumps. There may be, construction. There may be accidents. Who knows? Bad weather. Things are going to slow us down. Sometimes the road's going to be wide open and we're flying. But we don't know that. We got to get there. And that's because we're all unique and we all have our own lives outside of just business, and then we're all different people, and everybody's got a different journey. But again, expectations are set, and that's the exact same thing with your clients. Set expectations. Here's what you expect from me, here's what I expect from you, and here's what we can both expect from the market. And so to a seller, you might turn around and say, hey, listen, yeah, we might list at whatever that price is that we agree on today, but we are going to revisit that in 7 days. We're going to revisit that in 14 days because that's what the market is dictating right now. It's changing quickly. And we just want to make sure that we change with it because, again, remember those timelines we talked about? We've got to make sure that we adhere to those timelines. So again, we set expectations, right? So again, tip number 2 here, stop running around with clients trying to make something happen. Again, don't take me out of context, but instead understand where I'm coming from on that. Qualify them, not just money. Have the conversations, dig for the motivation, establish timelines, create a work back schedule, and then set those expectations. And that will save you a ton of time from, again, spinning your wheels in the mud, hoping that this person who may not be as motivated as you thought they would be, hoping that that person's actually going to do something. Okay. Now, in this case, we've strategically set ourselves up to have more success with that individual, have more success for ourselves. Again, not waste time and, make a lot more money. I like money. I'm sure you do too. Now, speaking of money, okay, when we, to have it, we've got to work hard, established already 17 million times on this particular episode today. Effort, right, produces results. I was, and I'll share another story with you as we get into this third tip here. I was doing a training the other day, and I was, it was 60, 90 minutes, whatever it was. And, as I finished up, this one individual comes up to me and says, loved it, whatever, good stuff, and, great feedback. But it says to me, I'm having a really tough time out there right now. The market's really slow for me. I'm not having any success. And it's really, really, really tough. And I said, okay. He says, can I ask you a question? I said, of course. He says, if you could do 2 things every day, what would they be? I said, just 2. He says, what are the 2 things you recommend to do every single day to have success, to get out of this rut, to create more opportunity? And so this is tip number 3 here, right? Is to do the things that you need to be doing to have success in any market. And that's how I replied to him. I said, well, I'm going to sum it up by saying exactly that, is do the things you need to be doing to have success in any market. And he goes, okay, well, what would you recommend? And I gave him these 2 steps. And your action steps right here, your action steps are 1, and this is what I said to him, was call your contact list. 3 to 5 people on that list every single day. Call them, check in with them, say what's up to them, see what's going on, just check in with the family, do a forward call. Again, find out about family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Really have that conversation with people. Just establish rapport. And then if you've already got rapport, strengthen that rapport. Remember, again, there's a lot of people not doing anything right now. There's a lot of people going to tell you, I'm not interested in selling. I'm not interested in buying. I'm not making a move. I'm staying here for life, whatever. But they might know somebody, or they might change their mind. And so by having the conversations we're having now, we're putting ourselves in a position to build the mind share. So when they are ready, when that market does go back up, we're the ones they're thinking about. So 1 is calling the people on your contact list on a regular basis. Know you, like you, trust you. And it's the trust factor that we don't just buy. We can't just get. We need to earn it. And the trust factor comes through over a period of time. It doesn't happen immediately. So again, those little phone calls that or the voicemail, the text message, the happy birthday, any of that stuff that you feel maybe not working, it's working. Slowly but surely, it's that tiny little brushstroke that you're putting in to paint your masterpiece, right? But you've got to do that, even when you feel like it's not. So I told him, 3 to 5 people on your list. Call and say hi. The second thing I recommend, meet 1 new person every single day. That is 365 new people a year that you're meeting. Quality people, not online leads from some random website or social media ad or whatever that just says, yeah, here you go. And none of those people ever pick up. I'm talking legit quality people. They've had a conversation with you. They've seen you. They've looked you in the eye, maybe even shaken your hand. 1 person. Don't overcomplicate this. I'm not saying go meet 1 million. And you're probably not going to meet 1 brand new person every single day. But imagine you did. That's 365 new quality leads. And I've told you many times before, and I'll say it again because it's just important to repeat, that when you've got 200 to 700 people on a contact list, you have a referral machine that is going to pump business for you as long as you're doing what you need to do. Now, of course, I haven't got only 2 things that I recommend you do every day. However, that was the question that I was asked, is what 2 things do you recommend I do? So again, first one's call your list, 3 to 5 people a day. And second one was meet 1 new person a day. Now, I got into a deeper conversation with this gentleman about, going into, support mechanisms, right? And then he says to me, and I said, support, if you're going to go door knock, right, send a flyer. This way, when you see the flyer, when I see the flyer, even though I'm throwing it in the garbage, now when you door knock me and you kind of reference the flyer, well, now again, I'm going, oh, wait a second, I might have seen you before. And then when I come back, the next time you might remember me. And then when you see the flyer the next time, you might remember me because I've supported. I sent you something in the mail. I showed up in person. And of course, that's only 2 of the 7 ways to communicate with another person. But again, as we talk about meeting new people, there is a structure for how to do so, right? There are certain tools that we need to have in place. And again, this is all stuff that we build out marketing plans and budgets and everything else with our clients. I'll do it again, right? I can help you with that if you want me to. But there was the answer for this gentleman. Right. And so then he started asking me, how do I meet somebody new? And we started doing a little bit of role playing. And I made sure to, first what I did was I tested him. I role played. I'm like, okay, knock on my door right now. He's like, okay. And then I pretended to open the door and he went into his pitch. And I'm like, I played hardball with him. And nope, not interested. Blah, blah, blah. And what I was going for there was, his whole thing was he was going for the close immediately. Well, dude, I don't even know you. What are you going for the close for? So again, we role played how to do that approach, how to go ahead and actually, have a conversation and establish a relationship with somebody that's brand spanking new. Anyhow, I'm sort of getting lost in the details about the full extent of the conversation, but where I'm going with it with you is tip number 3 here is, do the things that you need to be doing to have success in any market. And if I boiled it down to absolutely spending no money and doing the bare minimum, call 3 to 5 people on your list every single day and meet one new person every single day, you will have success. Dave, how are you so sure? Oh, I've only been playing in this sandbox for about 2 decades, and I've had, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of conversations with people that boil down to exactly those 2 things. All the other bright, shiny objects, again, cost money, they cost time, they could create make-work projects, and again, some of them could be really good. But if we said, I'm not going to spend any money, I'm not going to invest in anything outside of my own efforts, what do I need to do? You need to call people and you need to meet people. It's that simple. So let's go back over that for a quick moment, okay? I said here that today's episode was about, 3 tips to make sure you're not wasting time. And the first tip, again, was to stay away from bright, shiny object syndrome. The second here was to stop running around with clients trying to make something happen. And the third one here was, do the things you know you need to be doing to have success in any market. Now, when we break this down, it takes discipline. And discipline is really hard. It takes discipline to ensure that I'm not following like a sheeple, just doing what everybody else is doing. It takes discipline to ask the right questions and establish whether or not I should even be spending my time trying to work with you, or maybe it's just not the right fit, or maybe you don't have the means to go to the next level. So why am I bothering? Okay. And it's discipline to do the things that we need to be doing daily to have success. Discipline is hard. It's very hard. It sounds easy. I mean, I don't know. Saying the word maybe is easy. But discipline is hard because we have habits and we've got things that drive us and push us and pull us in different directions, be it outside factors of our loved ones and family, to extracurriculars, things we like to do, to, the desire to make it happen faster, to the fact that maybe sometimes we just don't want to work hard. I don't want to sweat, right? I don't want to have to put in all that effort. I just want it to be easy. Well, discipline to stick to the process is essentially where we're going to find our success. Now, being disciplined and doing what we need to be doing and being able to sit here even today and go like, Dave, I'm listening to everything you're saying. I'm doing these things, but I'm just not having the success that I want to. The next key here beyond discipline is your mindset. Right? Staying positive no matter what. And in order to do that, my suggestions to you are to continue to feed your brain. And again, you listen to the podcast. I can't thank you enough for doing so. If it's your first time, I thank you for being here. I'd also like to ask you if you enjoyed the show. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a rating, leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Much the same, you're feeding your brain right now. And if you're a regular listener, again, I'm totally grateful. And hey, if you haven't left that review either, please. But seriously, self-development and feeding the brain, the personal development. These are also things that we can drive ourselves right now. So if we're looking at the money aspect, and we're looking at the deals this year, and we're looking at what we have accomplished on the business side, or maybe what we haven't accomplished on the business side, and that's bringing you down, and that's affecting the mindset. I also want to ask you right now, are you spending enough time for personal development? And I'm talking both mentally, reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts, whatever, and physically, working out, keeping yourself in shape. See, the most important thing we got in life is our health and our time. It's not our money. Money is important, but it's not the most important. So really keeping an eye on the fact that, hey, I know I'm doing what I got to be doing on a business front. I'm putting in the effort. The results aren't happening as quickly as I want them to. But it's not my only focus. It's not my sole focus in life. I'm also focused on how I want to be. Me. I'm making me number one. So I want to read more. I want to feed my brain. I want to get smarter. I want to understand more. I want to learn how other people are doing it. It also helps me learn that I'm not the only one struggling with what I'm struggling with. In fact, everybody goes through a lot of the same things. I also want to take care of myself physically. I want to be in shape. I want to feel good. Now, if I'm winning on the personal side of things, but maybe not having the same success I want on the business side of things, Am I winning? Oh, I'd say I'm winning. Now, I'm going to flip that one around and say, well, what if I'm winning on the business side of things, but not so much on the personal side of things? I'd say, well, you're winning a little bit. Because if money is the biggest thing in your entire world, which again, I love money, but we really need to take into consideration that if we do love our family, we do love ourselves, and we want to be healthy, hey, there's certain things we need to be doing on that front as well. And so I encourage you again, discipline is hard, okay? Mindsets can be down when markets are tough, but it's the discipline to do the things you need to be doing, which are going to keep you in the right mindset to have the success you want down the road. Okay. And that's, again, doing everything I need to do today to have it. And down the road could be tomorrow. It could be in a few minutes from now. Could be next week, next month, or next year. Could be in a few years from now. But let's be clear. If you don't do what you need to do now, you can't expect to have the results you want then. Really let that one sink in, because it's the habits that you have that create success. How do you empower time to manage you? When do you track your goals? What are you focused on? What do you want in life? Now you got a lot more to ride on than just what the market's doing. And now it's really hard to bring you down because you're positive. You got the right mindset. And when you feel like none of it's working, and you feel like the market that, has you beat and just down, hey, remember something. You can't change the market, but you can definitely change what you do. So if you're disciplined enough and you create the right systems and processes to hold you accountable, that for you to put in the effort every single day, it's going to work. You just got to trust in the process. That's how you save money and make the most of your time. It's easier than you think. And the best part is most people won't do it. So let that fuel you to not be most people. You're either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle, our 31-page ebook, complete with a 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mind shares that you get more market share. A reminder as well that if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event, and or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with me, get in touch with my team. We'll set up a consultation call, learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we will help you do just that. Again, for all inquiries, just get in touch with us today. And don't forget, please, leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Fancy little link we put together for you, but if you want, go straight to iTunes or Spotify. And of course, connect with me on Facebook if we haven't yet at MindShare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems and REM Magazine for sponsoring the MindShare podcast today. Be sure to visit our site to learn more about what these powerful companies will do to help you grow your business. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.